I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, he's back on this show. I'll say no more. Watch the space right now. Yes, you're watching Criclytics Man vs. Machine, and if you guys are still wondering who I was talking about, well, welcome back, Jarrod Kimber. And if you guys don't know who he is, where have you been? Because he's all about cricket, and I don't really need to introduce him because all he does is just chalk up some numbers and numbers to savor in terms of the gentleman's game. Jarrod, it's great to have you back on. This time, vice versa. I'll be doing the questioning. You'll be, of course, taking on the Criclytics Machine. How do you feel about this with the switch in roles?
Well, I think I started off against the machine, then I was the machine, and now I'm against the machine again. So I kind of feel a little bit like Marcus Stoinis. I'm obviously not quite gifted enough to hold down any role, but I'm available to do all of them.
Yeah, let's see if you get off to a flying start yourself. Now, speaking of the game that we're going to be previewing, ladies and gentlemen, just to give you a little brief, is of course Sunrise Hyderabad against Delhi Capitals. It's a Super Sunday second offering, and it comes from Chennai, this one. So expect low runs, expect a lot of wickets through spin, and we'll get cracking with the predictions in just a bit. But we have to talk about most intriguing issue going into this clash. It comes from Sunrise Hyderabad, because have they found their mojo back, i.e. Kane Williamson, Jarrod? Because it's funny when you take a look at how many international picks they have and the conundrum they have. What would be your four preferred picks?
Yeah, I mean, I would love a team where they could fit Jason Holder or Muhammad Nami into that team and bat them at, well, I think Holder could bat 4 in T20 cricket, to be honest, but probably bat them at 5 and give themselves some extra flexibility with the ball. And also, Nabi could play when it spins and Holder could play when there's anything in it for the seamers. But they can't really do that because they don't really trust anything outside of their opening batters, do they? They can't find really anyone that they trust outside of that. So it kind of has to be Williamson, I suppose, in that particular role. But I'm not sure that is their best team, but it might be the team that they have to go ahead with.
Yeah, horses for courses, and numbers don't lie. You know that better than anyone. Manish Pandey was left out last game. Rightly so, you think?
Yeah, I mean, he's part of the problem, isn't he? Him and Saha are part of the problem because they are both incredibly talented players. They shouldn't be replacement level players. Do you know what I mean? They should be automatic starters in this team, but they don't necessarily, consistently make the runs that they need to be making. And I think that's really where all the problems come from. You know, if one of them could nail their role, it would make much more flexible when it came to the overseas players. I mean, you're seeing other overseas teams, you're seeing other teams going in with like 3 players, aren't you? 3 overseas players. And that's, imagine this team with only 3 players. It just wouldn't happen.
Yeah, the strength and depth in the other squads, they can afford to do that. But Sunrise Hyderabad, of course, let's see how they go about it, because they take on Delhi Capitals. Jarrod, initially before the tournament started, did you fancy Delhi Capitals to do what they did last season, maybe go one better?
I thought they would be roughly the same. I did a power ranking of the teams and I had them at 4th. And so there are a lot of Delhi fans very upset at me at the moment. How could you have us behind Mumbai? It's just like, I just feel that there are questions. I really don't know if I believe that. I mean, so far they've used Tom Curran for a couple of games. They've used Smith for some games. They've got Stoinis playing out of position. That's a lot of overseas players not quite at their best. I really like a lot of players in this team. And Akshar Patel, being fit and available will change everything as well, I hope. But right at the moment, I just don't see them as a champion-winning team. But long way to go, and they've been very good so far this season. Yeah,
try telling that to the Delhi fans who, of course, go on to DCTV every post-match and listen to those Ricky Ponting speeches, and there's something to, of course, compel upon, of course. Let's dissect them a little further and put you in the 1-minute pitch in your verdict right now on Delhi Capitals, in particular Kagiso Rabada. Jarrod, how surprised have you been? Because he's gone for not just conceding more runs, but he's gone wicketless as well.
Yeah, I suppose, he bowls at the death. They've bowled at Wankhede a lot of recent times as well, haven't they? So maybe he hasn't had some of the maybe his figures would be better if he was bowling consistently at Chennai, where no one can hit you at the death. But I think that he's a natural wicket taker. in basically all forms of cricket. But I'm not sure he has a specific ball in T20 cricket that makes him a wicket taker in the way that, say, very good death bowlers like Chris Morris or, Malinga and those sorts of guys back in the day. He doesn't quite have any of those specific skills. And he doesn't take wickets at the top. So if he's not taking wickets at the top, that means that, and that's a huge problem for Delhi as a general rule. It just means that there's going to be more pressure. There are going to be more set batters that he's going to be going up against, high quality batters at the death. But it could just be a fluke because he does generally take wickets at the death. I honestly think that the bigger problem for them is that they can't find someone like him to take wickets up at the top. That's what they need. They need to be able to strike more consistently.
Yeah, and Avesh Khan, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, taking up that mantle, and he's done so far so good. Let's see if he features in any of Jarrod's predictions right now. We'll get straight on to the batsmen right now because there's some good batsmen. Remember, it's not the batsman paradise that is Wankhede, it is Chepauk right now. So choose wisely, Jarrod. Your first prediction on Criclytics Man vs Machine, Sunrise Hyderabad, Delhi Capitals, please.
Yeah, I'm going to go with David Warner just because he's been making runs consistently. I'm a little bit worried about his shoulder because that's a constant concern with him. But I think he has the ability on this pitch to probably make 30 or 40 runs at a strike rate of 120 almost every time he goes out there and plays. So my only concern with David Warner is the Ashwin matchup. But I'm a little bit less concerned about that in a T20 than I might be in every other format of cricket. But I just think at the moment, Warner, as long as he doesn't rule himself out, I think that he's probably, bang on for a 30 or 40 again. And he might actually kick on in one of these innings as well. I think he looks in really good form.
You say 30 or 40, Jarrod. Let me throw you a stat here. 46 runs is what he requires to get to 10,000 runs in all forms of T20 cricket. So that is something to watch out for Warner fans out there. Bowlers next, because it's going to be dominated by them. There are quite a few number of shouts. I'll tell you what Criclytics reckons in terms of that bowling prediction. It's gone for Ravichandran Ashwin, a man that you just mentioned. Are you siding with Machine here or going completely rogue?
I'm going to go with Amit Mishra because he took wickets in the last game, but also I think he's only going to get he's basically going to get a handful of chances, isn't he? Proves that he's in the top, the main 11. He was left out of the early games. It looked like he had a very good rhythm the other day. But yeah, Ashwin or Amit Mishra, both experienced, two of probably the highest wicket takers in IPL history. And very, very good quality bowlers. I think the most important thing is to have both of them in your team.
Yeah, quick question to you, Jarrod. Do you know who's dismissed the most amount of right-handers in the IPL all time?
Would it be Amit Mishra?
Absolutely. So Amit Mishra is in your team, and it'll be some spin feast that Ashwin, Akshar and Amit, the AAA axis, so to speak. Let's move on to the wicket-keepers because, of course, Rishabh Pant fancies Hyderabad more than any other team in the IPL. Do you have Pant or do you go for someone like Johnny Bairstow?
I really like Bairstow's form of recent times. I'm going to go Rishabh Pant. I think that I think he's going to break through. He has the ability to hit sixes on this pitch. I just don't think we've quite seen him at his best yet in this tournament. So I think that he's around the corner. But again, him and Bairstow, it's neck and neck. I think Bairstow's been really good so far as well. Much better than he was last year.
Yeah, the added advantage is that Bairstow, of course, flourishes in the power play better than anyone else right now. And that's food for thought, really. Let's skip on to the all-rounders because you shout out Akshar Patel. There's Marcus Stoinis also in the mix, but there's a plethora of SRH guys as well if they get the nod. Who are you going for here?
Yeah, I'm not sure how much Marcus Stoinis will bowl because of these particular matchups. So I'm going to certainly move him aside. Akshar Patel, I don't know if he is going to play, although I assume he will. But I'm going to go with Lalit Yadav because Rishabh Pant talked about the fact that they're going to use his batting up the order at the end of the last game. Talked about how he really liked his batting and the way he went about it. And they thought that this was a very good pitch for his batting. We know he's going to bowl as well. So I'm going to go with him. Okay,
Lalit Yadav is a good shot because, like you mentioned there, they're giving him more responsibilities and off-spinners come into the game in power play, especially at Chepauk. Another shout maybe, of course, Abhishek Sharma. He bowled at the power play for SRH the last time out, 2 for 24. And if he does donk it with a bat, he could be an all-rounder, or you're sticking with Lalit Yadav?
No, I'll go with Lalit Yadav. I mean, I think there's probably a couple there. of those sort of spinning all-rounders. And, we've already mentioned, if Akshar Patel plays, then, you certainly want him in your team as well. So I think there's 2 or 3 guys there that could have a bigger impact just because it is Chennai and we know what's going to happen.
Yeah, Criclytics strangely has gone for Marcus Stoinis in this one, believe it or not, because I think he bowled that one over and got the cock out, so they're taking confidence from that, strangely enough. Do you take confidence out of Delhi's win against Mumbai or Delhi in general? What are you going for your win predictor? Because I can tell you, Jarrod, in terms of win predictor, sorry, just messed it all up here, 58% Delhi Capitals. You concur?
I think that Delhi are playing better, but I think that Sunrisers are still a very, very good team. I'm not sure I'd have them as a 58% chance of winning, but I think there's a lot of good things that Delhi can do for their team for this particular one, like, for instance, bringing in Akshar Patel. So it could be, I could see how they're the favourites. Yeah, I can see how they're the favourites. 58% seems a little high to me, but it's not that far away.
You never know. The fact that Delhi Capitals are making statement after statement. Maybe there's another statement on Sunday, and if it comes against SRH, well, there'll be a lot of head scratching for Trevor Bayliss and David Warner. Jarrod, we appreciate your time. Just before we go, because for fans' curiosity, my curiosity, which IPL team do you support, mate? Let's put it out there right now.
Do you know, when the league started, I kind of like Kolkata a little bit. And over the years, I probably fell in with RCB because they were so terrible. And there's something about that. And then I did, obviously, very briefly, was involved with RCB. And so I suppose it's Kolkata and RCB, and I'm probably an RCB fan. But realistically, I just love cricket. And that's the best answer I can give you. My kids have a Mumbai Indians shirt and a RCB shirt. So we're all over the place in this family.
That's good IPL flavour indeed, all the way back in the UK, I'm guessing, where you're shooting this out of. And of course, RCB, great to know you, Jarrod, and we'll catch more of you, of course. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, what you guys can do back home is download the cricket.com app and check out Criclytics, because it's one of the most powerful engines in predicting a game of cricket. All right, I should say that better as we go along. But until then, and until me coming back on the show, it's goodbye from us.